Hello and welcome to In No Particular Order. This is the last one of 2019 and of the decade. I'm Matt and today I'm joined with Michael and Nick.
Yo.
What's up?
So as I said, we're going to be looking at the last 10 years as this is the end of the 2010s.
Is
After
that
doing...
officially what it's called, the 2010s?
I guess it would be, yeah, because then it'd be the 2020s and the 30s and the 40s. But you realize that we're in a month from now, we'll be in the 20s?
The roaring 20s.
That's gonna be weird, eh? What are people gonna reference the 1920s or the?
And lots of cars.
Oh boy. So after doing a bit of research, just browsing around, I realized just how crazy the last 10 years have been for games. Like I knew that, but just after doing a bit of research, memories kept coming back. It's like, holy crap, that was just, the last 10 years. There's a lot.
So I think it's important to, yes, bring back swing. I think it's important to identify here just real quick. I did a little bit of digging around, and it varies from source to source, but I personally agree with this one. So the end of the 2000s, the 2007, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
The naughties.
What?
That's what they're called.
Are they really?
What?
The naughties. Naughties.
Huh.
Is that why?
That's just what they're called.
All right.
Okay. Well, in the gaming world, that was called the Golden Age, apparently. Modern
Really?
Golden Age.
I agree.
Because you had a lot of big ones coming out there.
Oh, I
You
guess
had
so.
a lot of genre-defining games, not least of which was things like Halo 3, Gears of War, introduced cover-based shooting. Imagine that. Portal sort of brought in its own wake of 3D puzzle games and a whole bunch of other stuff.
That's true.
Came out on that time too.
All right, I can see
A lot
it.
of strategy games, things like that. The beginning of the 2010s was referred to as the post-Golden Age, and then up until now, we've been living in the service age.
I guess
I know.
so. I guess
How
so.
dirty does that make you feel? But supposedly we're going toward the post-service age, which is where
Ooh.
people are taking a stance against things, like a bunch of trends that we'll probably get into a little later, and things are kind of going back to a post-Golden Age style thing.
Interesting.
So that's supposedly what they're called. I should have a cited source. I don't. I'm sorry. But I personally agree with that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order just came out. I think that's a big example of that. The latest Spider-Man game. Just a lot of really good single-player games have come out recently that show that the market's kind of getting
Swinging
done
away
with that kind of stuff.
So where do we want to start, Matt?
I guess. It's so hard. There's just so much.
If
I
anyone
guess-
hears any laughing, there is a D&D game going on outside my door.
Here at SkyPyre, we support games of all varieties.
That's right.
I have an aggressive checkers game going on behind me, but you won't hear it. It's okay.
I guess we could start with most influential game. So that's not necessarily your favorite game. It could be, but what is your most influential game in the last 10 years? So when we're saying 10 years, because we're still in 2019, I'm counting 2009.
Oh, okay. I don't think that counts.
I mean, we're still in we're not 2020 yet.
Decade 2010, January 1st, 2010 and on. Except I have one example that's 2009, but
I'm still gonna count. I'm gonna count 2009 for myself.
It's just because he wants to show his favorite game in there.
No, we're still in 2019.
Okay, whatever. Moving forward. So what's the question? The most influential
Your
game
most
for
influential
you or the industry?
for you. So that could be your favorite one, but it might not be either.
Okay. Who wants to start?
I can start if you guys don't have an answer right now.
I do,
have
but
one,
go ahead.
Okay. There have been a lot of games, but I guess in the last 10 years, Minecraft. I don't really play it I haven't played it in like
That's
probably
2011, by the way.
2010.
2009 actually.
It was
May
it was
2009.
created in 2009, but the actual release of it was in 2010.
2011.
Wait, the release
The
release
release
version
of
1.0?
the beta that most people played was in 2010.
2010.
The alpha
I guess it
stuff
would
was
be,
in
yeah, because I
2009.
started in grade 9 playing it. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Anyway, I throw that as my most influential, just because even though I don't play it much anymore, that really got me into more interested in the creative building aspect of games and survival. Before that, I was a lot more into RTS and stuff, which granted you're building a base, but it's not as it doesn't allow you to be as creative, right? It's just here are the buildings and you get to place them how you want, but it's not like Minecraft where you literally have a world where you can take everything apart and put it together in some other way, which was really
definitely
cool.
one of the first ones you could tear everything down.
Exactly, and it you know it started a whole trend and everything. But personally, I just really I've always liked to make things and whatnot, and then I was really getting into video games at that point too, a lot more. And with Minecraft, it was just kind of a combination of everything that I loved at the time, and it opened a bunch of doors for me to discover new games, new styles that really influence what I play today and what I look for and what I like to make. So I'd say that's my most influential for sure.
And it also started up the indie game craze.
It did.
It would have been one of the big ones, yeah, for sure.
Which was a huge aspect, I imagine, of the first half of the 2010s. That post-Golden Age where everybody was on hype from all of the great legendary games that had come out in that 3 or 4 year span. So these are, maybe they were teenagers when they played those games, and then they got into the early 2010s, became young adults going to post-secondary, and now they have a choice in what they want to do.
Yeah, I guess
Game design.
Yeah, as a quick side tangent to the question, I guess in the last 10 years it's also been the massive wave and exponential growth of the indie market.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of going with what you guys are saying. It used to just be AAAs, and now it's just slowly, and now it's just booming.
Yeah, for me, watching making of documentaries and reading about Marcus Passions, the developer of Minecraft's story, was really inspiring to me. That hey, I think I can make a game in my life. That might be a thing that I can do. So,
well, congratulations! You've already made a bunch. If you're including all the school projects and everything, you've made a bunch. Yeah. Influential games
too.
Michael, go ahead.
My own most influential game was Journey.
Ooh.
That's a very you choice.
Yes, that game it just set such a cool vibe. It was the most immersive game I had ever played at the time. I remember I sat down, my parents had just gotten this new giant TV. So and it was my first game I played on it. And I put on some nice headphones. I just sat down and played it all the way through in one sitting.
Wow.
With and you know how in the game you run into random people online?
I haven't played it, so I'm not sure. I'd love to play
it.
In
the game, you can run into one other person who's just an actual player, but there's no way to communicate with them verbally. You can only just use little chirps to communicate.
Oh, okay.
And me and this person, it was both our first time playing through. You could tell by the way the character designs were, and me and that other person ran through the entire game together, and it was really beautiful and very influential on me.
That's really cool.
The way I like to design things and.
And when you watched him go off in the distance at the end of the game, did you just hear, "Don't you forget about me"? He walks into the sunset.
I wish I knew that person. Wherever you are out there, Journey friend.
Michael, that was me. Okay, well that sounds really good. Yeah, that's a nice little story. And Nick?
For me, the most influential Now we said this wasn't our favorite, but
Hmm.
the most influential was probably Doom 2016.
Really?
Yeah, because that to me, I constantly call back to it just as like a reference for mechanical
That
tightness
is
and
true.
things like that. I bring it up a lot just because what it did. Because I'm a huge shooter guy, right? But that genre of kind of arcade shooter, classic FPS style shooter had kind of gone by the wayside in favor of your more Call of Duty types.
Hmm.
During the golden age, like I don't necessarily even count Halo in that particular category. Halo's a nice middle ground. You got crazy guns and, a long time to kill and all kinds of other things like that. But, you can only carry two guns. You're not
Hmm.
running at the speed of light.
And
You know,
like looter shooters as well, Borderlands style games.
looter shooters as well. But it was, a lot of games where, for lack of a better definition, you carry a limited amount of guns. They all basically shoot bullets that travel either really fast or hit scan. Um, there's one or two types of enemies and several derivatives of them. You know, typical sort of Call of Duty, type of things. Borderlands was actually not the worst in that regard. But what Doom managed to do was take this game concept that was so old school, right? That you think would only belong to the old farts that are interested in it, right? You know, your boomers and whatever. And managed to drag it into the 21st century, as it were, and populate it with the mechanical tightness and the features you expect out of a modern game, but with the charm and unapologetic drive of a game from that era,
Hmm.
where it's like all you do the entire time is just run through these crazy environments and mow down demons. That's all you do. Yeah, that's exactly what it does. It's like, it doesn't try to be the most accessible thing in the world. It doesn't try to make it so broad where it's got RPG elements and story and this and that and the other thing, all worked in at an even pace. It's a shooter through and through, got an arsenal of guns, shoot all kinds of crazy weird things. There's a couple dozen enemies in the game, interesting environments, you're jumping all over the place. It's just a fun, fast experience. And it was one of those things where I was really worried that that genre had died
Hmm.
and was gone. And then that came out to critical acclaim, and I went, okay, good, good, not dead, fantastic. And it's that type of game that's been making a resurgence because of that. So it kind of kickstarted that. So that's why I'd say it's the most influential for me. Is I take that as an example that I don't need to dumb down my game design
Hmm.
as to make it the most accessible thing that includes all of these features you expect. Just make the thing what it needs to be. Don't beat around the bush, both mechanically, narratively, artistically, whatever. It's hyper visceral. It's covered in blood. It's got a specific art style. So that's why I'd say
Yeah.
it showed me
Uh,
that you can make these tight, highly specific experiences out of it.
yeah, and the genre isn't dead yet.
Hmm.
In the chat here, we got Frostbite saying Doom was really cool, was a very different style for me as someone that only knew quote unquote modern gaming. Music was awesome too.
Oh, and the music system was phenomenal. Do yourself a favor if you want to play more like that. Play the original Unreal. Play Quake 2, and play um, well, you know, hit or miss the Half-Life
Wolfenstein.
games. They're kind of halfway. Ooh, yes,
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein, the new what's it called? The first
Order.
one. New Order was
Hmm.
also really good.
Yeah. So
But
that's
yeah, that's most influential for me.
those are three vastly different kinds of games too.
Hmm.
That's very interesting, but it also, now that I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. um, so
Can I add a follow-up question?
go ahead.
Um, what do you guys think is the most influential game on the industry?
On the industry as a whole, God, that's a
Yeah, we'll
lot.
make this quick and then we'll move on. since
Okay,
we don't-
well,
Right now,
I don't know if
No, of the 2010s.
of the 2010s, I mean, Minecraft was huge,
Was huge.
yeah, I would say
and
Minecraft for all those
it's
survival games.
it spurred a lot of different survival games, building games, indies in
DayZ.
general. But was it the influential game for the last 10 years? I don't know.
So
Minecraft created the battle royale genre.
I mean, yeah.
true.
Because remember, the Hunger Games movie came out, and then they made Minecraft Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And then there was DayZ, and then there was
Those were fun.
Battlegrounds, and then
Now we're here.
Jeez, I
we
don't
got
know. It
Fortnite and Apex.
honestly, it might be Minecraft.
I have a counter proposal,
Please, because I can't think of anything else right
which works into the fact you said you're going to count 2009.
now. Okay.
So, League of Legends,
I was thinking that, but I don't know. You think so?
because it exploded esports. Because esports was a thing. You had StarCraft, you had Counter Strike, etc. But League is the one that truly exploded it into like ESPN level crazy shit. Not instantly, but it was the catalyst for that movement. And it was not. It was also one of the first games as a service that established the service model, the free-to-play model that wasn't a conventional MMO style game. You had things like EVE Online and whatever, EverQuest and things, but you never had a focused non-MMO game be a service or a free-to-play model. So they brought that to the market, and I still think personally they're one of the only ones still doing it right.
Yes.
I think everybody else has gone a bit hog wild with their formula.
Yeah.
And the testament to that is that they are consistently the most watched game on Twitch. They are occasionally knocked off their ladder by whatever the villain of the day is, whether that's Apex Legends or Overwatch or whatever. But
Fortnite.
they
Fortnite is the word.
Fortnite, yeah, Fortnite. But they always find their way back.
It's
You know,
true.
and it's still being played. I think they have the most money in their big tournaments and stuff. So I'd say, given like what esports and the service models of the industry have become, that's the most influential one for the industry. I'd bet my money on that. Minecraft spawned a lot of clones, yeah, but it didn't change the spine.
I think
I think the most influential on. I don't think it's the most influential, but one of the most influential is Dark Souls.
That's another good one.
that is a good one.
And invented a genre, or at
Yep.
least a subgenre, Souls-like.
So I don't know if we can say, like, I think all three of our choices here are very good options, and it's hard to say which game influenced the entire industry, but I think all three of those together made these huge leaps in trends in the gaming industry. So Nick, like League, the service and the play for free, that's not an MMO, but also the esports. Michael, more of the grindy, like unforgiving hardcore game, and then Minecraft, more of the creative exploration building game. So
Survival.
yeah, so all three of those games have, if you look at what's been coming out recently in the last few years, all three of those games have branches in all aspects of it.
The fact that I'm playing a mainstream Star Wars game right now that is based on Dark Souls is pretty
Borrows
wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
All right. I think we should answer the big question.
What is the
And-
big question, Nick?
Like, you're supposed to answer that at the end, but I don't know how long we're going to talk about it. We'll see how many of our other questions in our list we get to, but top 5 favorite games of the decade.
Okay. Well, from what I could think of at the time, because there's been a lot. From what I could think of,
I changed mine 2 minutes before we started.
What I learned is that I played a lot of games between 2010 and 2015, and I didn't play a lot of games between 2015 and now.
Yep.
Me, it's been more of a smattering throughout, but I don't know. So in no particular order, um, my top five. I don't even know if I have five here, but I really like Assassin's Creed 2. Has always been close and dear to my heart.
When was that out?
Was that this
That
decade?
that came out 2009, November 2009.
Okay,
Brotherhood, November 2010. So Brotherhood is my second favorite in Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
So Assassin's Creed 2 though, for sure. Skyrim, still love it.
That blew my mind that came out in 2011.
I
I
know.
was like, oh my god.
I know.
I thought that game is as ancient as like the internet itself.
But it's still so good. I still play it. You know, like how many
No, I thought it
games?
was older. I thought it was like a 2008, 2007
No,
Golden Age game.
not that old, but you know, like there aren't that many games that you can just list off that you still play, you know, consistently years and years and years later. Considering how many games come out, so and Skyrim for me is still one that comes up, and I think for most people, it consistently comes up over and over and over
On their
again.
fridge?
Also, where is it? Beat Saber, which is more of a recent game, May 2018, but it's fantastic. They nailed it out of the park. I don't play it as much anymore at all, but I loved it. Overwatch.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's 5 or 4 or whatever, but that's all I can really think of as some of my top games. That would be them, I think.
Okay. Michael?
Obviously Flappy Bird, Candy Crush, Pokemon Go, COD Mobile, and
And PUBG Mobile.
and PUBG Mobile, of course.
Not Fortnite, though. You don't stoop that low.
My favorite games, I don't know, there's a lot. I've got a whole bunch here, but I pared it down to Batman Arkham City,
Okay.
The Last of Us,
Good choice.
Mass Effect 2,
Okay.
That was on my list, and then I removed it and replaced it with another one.
Minecraft, and Journey.
I guess I'll throw Minecraft in there too.
And if we are going to leave out Journey, because I already mentioned it as the most influential game, I'll throw in probably just Skyrim or something like that. That was really good.
Did you like Halo ODST or Reach?
I really liked Reach, but it wasn't as good as Halo 3 for me.
But we're talking about 2010s, the 10 years, not favorite games of all time.
I'll get to Reach.
Okay. Nick?
Well, you're going to see a trend with mine.
Oh boy.
Obviously, even though it was also the most influential for me, Doom, 2016. Titanfall 2, the single player specifically.
Still haven't a chance to play that.
I've only played Titanfall 1 yet.
Every time I hear someone say that, one of my ventricles goes crazy.
I own it.
You need to play it.
I know I need to play it.
That game was just so good. It like revitalized so much about story-driven shooters for me. Even though it plays like a Call of Duty game, it has those things I said Doom undoes. But the way it was built was so well done. Overwatch as well, same as Matt. Don't play it much now, but did for quite a bit at the time, and I liked how it brought kind of arena style shooting back in a way. Like previously, if you'd said, hey, let's get a competitive arena shooter, most people would be apprehensive about that. They'd be like, what do you mean? I play professional Call of Duty and PUBG and what the fuck's the other one?
Oh, Counter-Strike?
Counter-Strike. But this one was like, hey, it takes you 2 seconds to kill someone in this game. And that's how it is. And you're like, okay. Portal 2.
Yes.
Was a big one. Loved Portal 2.
It's very
Um,
good, yes.
and then in the same vein, having just talked about it a few minutes ago, actually, Black Mesa,
Hmm.
which came out as a mod in 2013, came out on Steam on 2015, and got a huge update in 2017. But all the way along, it was just a rich classic style experience, and I'm a huge Half-Life fan, so
Yes, you are.
yes, I am.
Well, there we go. See, again, a
So that would
good
be
a good variety in our favorites or in our honorable mentions, I guess.
Honorable mention for me is Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor.
honorable mention, Mass Effect 2. Fucking love that game.
Bioshock Infinite.
Candy Crush, all the way.
When did BioShock come out? That wasn't in the 2010s, was it? That
Bioshock
was
Infinite.
no, but
Ah.
the original. That was earlier,
That would
right?
have been earlier.
That was earlier.
Yeah,
That
it
was
would
on
have
the-
shown up on all the lists I researched
Yeah, for
if
sure.
it had. That game was amazing.
No, it was earlier.
That was around the time
Hellblade.
of Halo 3.
Interesting.
Hellblade. I haven't played Hellblade. That was that's Senua's Curse.
Senua Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. That's it.
That's
I
a
ha-
really cool game with a
haven't
very
played it.
interesting backstory that we can get into probably in a longer discussion about games and mental health at some point.
Yeah, I kept seeing like a lot of behind the scenes and stuff, but I've never actually met anyone who's played it either, which is a drag because I really want to play it.
I didn't get the chance. I was busy when it came out.
Yeah. Okay, so
What's next?
we've talked about a lot about our favorites, more influential, whatnot. Now, how about more broadly? So, what's a favorite trend that you've noticed over the last 10 years, 3 years, within this decade? One of your favorite trends.
How about we say what our favorite trend is and what our most concerning trend is?
Combine them both? Sure, why not? Nick, do you have an
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah.
All right.
For me, one of the coolest trends, and this is the producer in me speaking, digital storefronts.
Ooh,
You know,
okay.
kind of. I know they were around, obviously, in the early in the late 2000s. Because obviously Steam was launched with Half-Life 2 in 2004 and only continued to gain traction as it went. And if I'm not mistaken, Origin kicked up somewhere in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ones have been attacking on ever since. But the fact that we now have a distribution of storefronts and therefore not a monopoly. Steam definitely holds a majority,
Yeah,
but not a monopoly.
and it's always being
uh,
challenged.
It's always being challenged. They're being forced to evolve, and I think that I've seen storefronts really kind of fighting each other, which is good for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the digital storefronts have been a phenomenal thing. And the other thing too is you get things like you don't need to worry about having your physical library around at all times. It's always very easy to keep track of stats and so on and things like that. Obviously, this removes the unfortunate situation where you could lend your friend a game or whatever.
True. Well,
But I
I
honestly
mean,
think that is gonna be a thing that comes up anytime now, is being able to lend a game out for a set period of time
you think so, eh?
to a friend on a given platform. I see that coming. They're already caving in, right? They're doing the local Steam Play Anywhere, local multiplayer, like so.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my
That
personal
could be
favorite trend,
interesting.
because there's a whole bunch of ones that scare the living shit out of me.
All
but
right.
that one isn't one of them. And I'll just fire mine off and let you guys talk about it.
Go ahead.
The ones that terrify me are Battle Royale.
Hmm.
It's absorbing other genres, which is scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
Games as a service is an interesting model that is simultaneously evil and good. It's all about the hands that hold it. The excessive I made this word up, by the way, multiplayerization of
Okay,
games. Like
yes.
one thing that drove me nuts with Destiny is I was really excited for Destiny, which is another game that came out in the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited, and then I found out that you can't just play it offline.
Yes.
I think they later fixed that. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on the details, but
Either way, they
the fact
lost
that
you on that.
the fact that the base version of it that they wanted you to play, the intended experience was for me to be playing alone like a normal person, and then out of nowhere be like, oh, there's a raid now and you have all these players in your game. I'm like, what the fuck? Get the hell out of here.
Hmm.
Things like invading other people's campaigns and so on. Like, ugh, I don't like it. Want my single player game, single player. Want to be left the hell alone. And then of course microtransactions, but that's a fucking can of worms. Michael, take it away.
My favorite trend. I didn't write anything down, but I like that this generation. I liked the indie. I liked the indie games became a big thing this generation. It opened up and just
Our
like game
jobs.
engines in general and the ability for anyone to make whatever they want. That's my favorite thing the last 10 years.
Yeah,
That is amazing. That has really spawned innovation, and I appreciate it.
for sure.
And it's definitely leaked into AAAs as well.
100%.
The things that are discovered in indie games in a less volatile or a less risky environment can trickle upwards to bigger, higher budget games.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that worries you?
Worrying trend?
I named a whole bunch, but I'll let you elaborate on any one of them if you'd like.
Just the idea of getting a game and then not being able to unlock like outfits and stuff. How do I explain it? Like the not having all the content of the game in the game when you buy it. Like you gotta either earn it through a loot box or just loot boxes in general, but also like paying for the chance at opening a loot box that might have the item you want. I didn't like that, but I think the market is already voting against it. I think it's going
so
away.
are politicians.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
One thing I always liked, just on that note, someone mentioned Reach, is like, that to me, that was a good system. That was almost a perfect system. Right?
Yeah,
You
unlocking
played
stuff in that
got
game was
credits,
awesome.
and you unlocked whatever you wanted. The only thing I hated was that you had to be a certain rank to get certain things. I wished it was
okay with
just, if you have the money, you can get it. The
See, what was
virtual
cool,
money,
though,
that is.
is that was what was great about Halo Reach is like even though you could unlock whatever you want, you still had to play enough of the game to get to the point where you could unlock it.
Nah. I don't
Whereas
want that.
with Halo 4, it's completely Halo 5. Sorry, it's completely random what you get.
Oh, Halo 5
I
is
think I
terrible.
I think I put at least maybe 4 or 5 days worth of game time in Halo 5, and I only unlocked maybe 10-15% of the armor you can unlock in that game.
Wow.
Listen, the amount of games of Reach I grinded out in order to get the Midnight Black Visor, just because I had to reach that rank. I had the credits for it. I had the credits to buy 12 of them, but
Yeah.
I had to sit there and grind it out over and over and over and over and over again until I got it. So,
Good times.
anyways, I'm sorry, that was just a little aside that I agree with Michael. I like when what you do in the game is what allows you to get those things.
Yeah, that is
And
cool.
I like when there's no real restriction on it.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of my favorite trends, there's a few, but I guess one obvious one is the rise of indies, which kind of plays in with us. It allowed us to learn and really get the inspiration to go forth and do it. But then we also got to meet a bunch of people and whatnot, and a lot of great innovation, a lot of great games came out of it and are still coming out. But as Ari mentioned in the
I
chat
was
here,
waiting for you to mention it.
yeah, is how VR has grown, how VR is kind of making a big boom right now. It's not perfect. Obviously, it's a new technology still being developed and evolved and discovered how it could be used. But I just love how quickly it's become a serious thing. Like people, way back when Nintendo tried to bring it in, and other companies and other not in gaming tried to bring it up, and then it was like, I don't know, I guess it was ahead of their time and no one cared, and everyone was like, that's just a fad, whatever. And then it was, and then nothing happened for 30 years or whatever, and now here we are, where this VR thing, which people have been talking about for years and years in movies and fiction and stuff, is a tangible thing where a consumer can just go out and buy it, and it's a fairly robust system. I mean, that's very exciting, and at the speed at which it's being developed, the types of experiences, the types of games, the applications for it, I'm very excited for what is to come from that in the next 5 years, just because of how quickly technology is being developed. So I
Something that excites me about VR is, the Index, the Valve Index.
Mm-hmm.
It actually has a USB port and a little thing they call the frunk, or the front trunk, on the front-facing face mask of it.
Yeah.
That allows modders to just add any USB-A powered and operated whatever they want to develop.
Oh.
So basically, it's essentially like modding, but for your headset. Like, what do you want the headset to do? Do you want it to have like, some kind of different tracking, or do you want it to have whatever?
That's cool.
I think it's a really cool little addition that they've been like, hey, we can only work so fast, so people with spare time build shit. They built
into their hardware a modding system. That's very cool. That's very cool. And for my worry trend, I think you guys basically covered it, but like microtransactions, which I agree with Michael, I believe, at least for console and PC gaming, maybe not for mobile gaming yet, but for everywhere else, the public is speaking out to the point where it's becoming a political issue. So that's good.
It's certainly becoming a badge of honor to not have them.
Exactly.
In your game,
people
which
are
is exactly what we want.
People have spoken, and the trend seems to, if not stopped, it's slowed down a lot compared to what it used to be, even just a few months ago. And so that's an obvious one. But I think service, or subscription as a service.
Games as a service?
Games as a service.
Well, there's just subscription as a service, SaaS, in general. So this extends out to software and whatnot, but specifically for gaming.
Oh, yeah.
But just that in general scares me. It can be done. It can work in certain cases, but right now it's more being used to just force you to pay, and you have no alternatives, and it's not a good time. And if, let's say, for example, hey, Google Stadia that just came out, you don't actually have anything.
Oh, can I add another worrying trend to my list?
Yeah, in a sec. Just one sec. I just want to finish this. Like the whole SaaS. I don't want to talk about the software aspect, but it includes that. It's just when you pay for whatever per month, but you don't actually have like anything linked to it. There's no, at least with Steam, yes, you don't have a physical copy, but at least it's linked to your account, and you have your library, and you can play it offline and whatnot. But like it's a little scary to think that I've invested all this money, blah blah blah, and then I don't know, I don't actually have anything to show for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the
all
fact
be gone overnight.
Exactly, and the fact that it's just everything is gearing towards that. Movies, shows, movies, music, software, games, everything. Mm-hmm. It can be done properly, but it's a little scary that nothing is real anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Nick.
Yeah, I think it's a little different than, Netflix or Spotify, where if a song or a movie disappears because they lost the rights to it, you're like, oh, what a shame. I wanted to watch that. Whereas a game, it's like, I've invested 26 hours into this whatever,
That
and all of a sudden, like the next day, they're like, "Oh, sorry, you can't keep playing that. We don't have the rights to that anymore." That's
yeah,
a scary idea.
yeah.
I'm gonna add one more thing to that list,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can move on to the next question, which I have a suggestion for while we're on negativity. It's the next one in the list actually.
Okay.
But my additional worry is big tech getting into making game companies and game services.
I.e. Google.
So by big tech, I mean Google, Facebook, other things. Now, Facebook, listen to me here. Oculus is a company that Facebook acquired to do VR, right? If Facebook acquired developers to develop games and just the money comes back to them, whatever. But it's when you have like Facebook branded games,
Mm-hmm.
or like play this on Facebook's storefront, play this on Google Stadia. Google has first party developers. Google da da da. It's like, this sounds a little island game industry, if that makes sense, or fortress game industry, but like, stop sticking your fucking toes in our industry. Stay stealing everyone's information outside, right?
Oh, okay. I
Like,
see
just
what you mean. Yeah.
don't stop stepping in here and doing weird things with all your money, like Stadia. Just fuck off. Let us do our thing. If you
Yeah.
want in on this, get in through someone who is here. This isn't to say things like new storefronts that are popping up, like the Discord store, the Epic store. They're part of the industry, right? They have a sense of where they belong. Whereas I feel like, the 5% attention Google gives to Stadia is more just they're kind of throwing. Oh, my Google just went up.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
5% attention that they give to Google Stadia, it's just them throwing millions of dollars around, going, yeah, make games. People like those. Do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's when big companies who don't understand whatever the market, whether it's gaming or not, when they hop into an industry that they don't fully understand or appreciate, and then they just do it just to make money. That's what
Or
it's
just for the
scary. But
sake of disruption
yeah,
is what I would call it.
it's scary, but it's also just like it's just stupid. I mean, so because Stadia just came out recently, we're gonna keep bringing it up. But like, I'm sure there's people in Google who understand the gaming industry, but as a whole, whoever made some decisions don't get it, and they've made some weird decisions that it makes it pretty clear that a lot of people high up in Google just went, "Hey, games make money. Let's do it. More money," and that was it. That was the logic behind it. Um, it's when that happens that, yeah, it's not great. So your next thing you wanted a biggest disappointment. Was that it, Nick? What's your
Yeah.
biggest disappointment in the last
and,
10 years of gaming?
and then we'll move on to happier things.
Okay.
I can hear Michael crying from here. He's a very positive guy.
Biggest disappointment. Um, I
I
have.
can start if that helps.
All right, you go ahead. I need a second.
My biggest disappointment of the 2010s was Unreal Tournament 4.
Okay.
As they announced it, it looked really cool. It was a collaborative development process between the Epic Games and the community, right?
Mhm.
And as someone who spent his entire childhood playing, modding, mapping, and developing Unreal Tournament maps and so on, like both by myself and with my dad, it's a huge part of my life and a huge part of my childhood. And when they announced that they were reasonably faithfully rebooting it, and it was a collaborative thing between them and the community, which some people argued was just to make our game for us type thing, but honestly I don't really care, because a lot of the best maps from the original games were made by the community eventually. So I thought it looked really promising. Like they were increasing its development staff, a whole bunch of other things like that, and then Fortnite happened and took off.
Yes.
And they subsequently drained Unreal Tournament 4, which I think was just being called Unreal Tournament, but for argument's sake, Unreal Tournament 4 was drained entirely of its development team, as was games like Paragon, which eventually folded, and a couple other Epic Games games that were on the go there.
That's true.
in fact, it's rumored that because they were the ones I believe who developed Robo Recall, if I'm not mistaken. That's an Epic Games game, right?
Well, I don't know. I think it originally was made for Oculus.
Yeah, but they're the developer. Yeah,
I don't know who the developer is. I don't
developed and published by Epic Games for the Rift and Quest platforms.
know. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that game also got gimped by Fortnite because it came out in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And they plucked quite a bit of the staff off of that right as they were shipping it. So basically, like, Fortnite happened, and like a cancerous tumor, it just started absorbing everyone so they could make fucking piñatas and hats. So that's my biggest fucking disappointment, the 2010s. Because now it's still there, it's still live, and if you are a fan of arena shooters, I recommend giving it a go because it plays quite well. But it is absolutely stagnant. It is frozen in place.
Yeah, I could see why you're so disappointed about that.
Yeah. And that is for the record, that's the reason I hate Fortnite. I hated Fortnite before all you motherfuckers hated Fortnite.
I hated it when it was released originally, when it was just a weird building game. I don't know what it was before.
It was a zombie survival game.
Survival game.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really cool, and I was actually really interested. And then it became the world dominating, was it Battle Royale game that it is, and then I just didn't care. Because that's not what I wanted. I wanted that survival game that looked pretty cool. But then they went, never mind that.
They made the right decision.
I mean, no, it made
Financial
sense and all that stuff. But it was just, all right.
But it hurt me, Michael. So what about you guys? If you don't have one, that's fine too. I just wanted to bring that up.
Biggest disappointment for me was Destiny.
Okay.
I wanted so much more from Bungie.
Well,
I was
yeah.
expecting like the next big Halo, and it wasn't really that. And I never got a chance to play it, but from what like the reviews of it and just watching gameplay, I wasn't really into it. I do intend to play it someday though. I have it. I bought it really cheap. I'm gonna play it.
Okay. I think for me, I don't think I have a biggest disappointment. So that I have two games that come to mind, that are disappointing anyway. So one that I have and I have played is Assassin's Creed 3, and this was at the peak. So this game came out at the peak of my Assassin's Creed fandom. I was playing the shit out of Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and then 3 was coming out. I was like, oh, yes! And it was building up to all this hype about all the games were building up to this ancient technology and this world that existed before recorded history and stuff, and a lot of stuff. And then it was all building up to this one big reveal. And then Revelations also happened in between. That's right. And then Assassin's Creed 3 happened. And then it was like right at the end, it just killed off your main character for no reason. And the reveal was like, oh yeah, by the way, there were aliens, and that's it. And it's like,
Yeah,
we knew that. We fucking knew that, and you killed our main character. Why'd you do that? And that was the pinnacle of the big secret. And it was like, but what? Like, it was so disappointing because the story is amazing and the lore is super cool, and just how they weaved fiction and religion and historical fact.
Desmond Miles, I swear to God.
Well, I didn't necessarily like him as a character, but I liked his story and where he was going, and like the potential of like, of present day, what was going to happen based on what's been happening in the past that we've been exploring for four games. And then it all ended up being, oh yeah, he just dies. That's it. And it's like, okay, cool, wonderful. And because of that, Assassin's Creed, I was turned off from Assassin's Creed. I was a super fan, and I was turned off instantly. I haven't played, and then Black Flag came out, which was okay, but I haven't even beaten it because I was just bored. And then Unity came out, and we all know the shit show that was. And then but then Odyssey and Origins came out, and apparently those are good again. So
I
I
like
have
how you missed one.
which one?
Syndicate.
I see. Well, see that one I didn't even know existed for years, because that's how tuned out I was, because I didn't care anymore
Yeah.
because of Assassin's Creed big reveal, which was shit. So okay, there you go. There's my big disappointment.
All right, now that we're all thoroughly mad,
But my
uh,
second my mediocre
oh,
disappointment that I was kind of interested in, I never got to play it, but because it died before I could get to play it, was Evolve. That
ah,
seemed pretty cool. It seemed like a cool concept. The gameplay seemed fun, but it died basically as soon as it launched. So I was like,
hmm.
okay, cool. I can't play an asymmetrical multiplayer game without multiplayers. That's it, and that was
Without
it.
the other players.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, happy times now.
On to the positivity, so Michael can
I got
rehydrate. He's a shrunken flower.
I got more riled up from that. Oh man, I'm just remembering past. Oh, never mind. Moving on.
Should we just do these last two questions
Yeah, just to
for
finish
time's
up.
sake?
Yeah, I'd say.
All right.
I like the. You mean the last three there?
Oh, sorry,
No.
I meant like best multiplayer and best single player.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But I feel like we have talked about games a lot. I
Okay.
don't
We
know.
could
It's
we
up to you
could
guys.
we do have a few console questions. We could discuss consoles,
PC.
not as much, but not as in depth, but so for example, I just looked up launch dates on a few consoles, and the Wii was before 2010, but the Wii U came out in 2012.
Worst console.
Exactly. But the Wii U came out in 2012, and then a year later, in the same month, November 2013, Xbox One and PS4 came out, just in time for Christmas. And now here we are, what was that, 6 years later, and PS5 is coming out. And,
Switch came out not too long ago.
and the Switch came out in March of 2017, actually longer than I realized.
Mhm.
It's been
I
on.
remember the Switch coming out and everyone was like, okay. And then like out of nowhere, everyone had one and it was the best thing ever.
I think
Like
it.
I don't remember the transition there.
Well, I
Breath of the
think
Wild.
I think the difference. I think it's because of two
Smash
things.
Bros.
I think it's because of two things: the actual hardware and the game. So obviously, it came with Super Mario Odyssey, which is a great game. Breath of the Wild, which was fantastically well received and well made, and all that. And then Smash, of course. So those three, as their flagships, would have, sold it for themselves. But also, yes, people would have gone, "Oh yeah, look, it's a Switch," because they didn't know what it was, what it could do, because the previous console was the Wii U, which was a critical failure, right?
And prior to that,
People
it was
thought
the
it was an
Wii.
add-on for the Wii.
No, but see, the Wii did pretty well though, because it was
I thought the Wii U was an add-on for the Wii until my friend got one and was like, "No, it's a different console." And I'm like, "What?"
yeah. But I think that's where you're getting that impression, Nick, and where a lot of people got that
Yeah.
impression was, oh look, the last thing that Nintendo made was the Wii U, and no one cared. And then people realized that actually it's a
And then they
really
released
good console.
they released the first actually evolutionary game that they've made in a very long time with
Exactly.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So they came. So I think it was twofold. It was they came out with great games that were well thought out, well made, top to bottom, but then also good, really, really good hardware that once again kind of pushed the boundaries in certain areas. So
And the thing is, it ultimately, and this kind of comes back to why we were talking about Stadia, is that Stadia is an interesting idea, but it's a bit ahead of its time, and it's trying to cater to a market that is already taken care of by things like the Switch,
yeah,
because it's kind of the casual audience that doesn't have gaming hardware, quote unquote, and wants to be kind of mobile with their thing. Like I have coworkers that bring their Switches in and play them at lunch.
exactly. Yeah,
Like it's the perfect system transition between having a big heavy ass gaming PC, or a stationary console that's certainly not portable. I mean, I remember carrying my Xbox 360 around. Michael, you probably did too. But like,
Mhm.
It's definitely far more of a slip it in your bag, or they have carrying cases, right? So just throw it in a little carrying case, slip it in your bag, and bring it to your friend's place. So you guys can play together,
I
type
mean,
of thing. It's the ultimate expression of what people would do with the DS,
mhm.
but it's like a quote unquote actual console.
Well, yeah, it's an actual console that can be turned
Play Witcher
into
3 on it.
a slightly bigger Game
Get
Boy,
fucking
basically.
Doom on it.
Well, and now you can play Overwatch, you can play all these shooters that quote unquote gamers like all these games are out there on the Switch too. So it has for sure, it has the majority of the casual family style games and vibes, but it has a lot of those
Mhm.
higher bigger name games that you would associate with Xbox, or for example.
Which I think makes it the ultimate. I think it makes it the ultimate sort of family console type situation
Mm-hmm.
because it like imagine you're a dad, right? And you like to play some games, but you haven't really had the time to sit down and play them on your Xbox or your PlayStation or whatever. If you needed to get a console and you're in that situation, you would be inclined to get the Switch because now you can get this thing that you can plug into your living room and play, Smash Bros. Or Legend of Zelda or Mario Kart or whatever with your family, your kids, and so on. And it's sort of this interactive, like fun experience. But you can also, unlike the previous Nintendo consoles, you can also now get quote mature or more adult
Mm-hmm.
titles as well. So you can, I keep bringing you back to like Doom as an example of an increasingly mature title, but it's like you can play Mario Kart with your kids and then they go to bed and then you can take it up and go in your office or hang out on the couch or your man cave or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and play that because now it's kind of a two-in-one as opposed to needing to get serious hardware if you wanted to play a grown-up game.
Mm-hmm. And I think Nintendo right now I think Nintendo's doing really well for itself with the Switch, but I'm gonna add a third point to that. So yes, all the games that came out with it from Nintendo, the hardware is really good, but also the fact that for the first time ever, Nintendo's opened up its doors to other titles, other
Mm-hmm.
developers. This is the first time they've ever done that. Everyone rushed to it. It allowed for other AAA companies, so other games like Overwatch and whatnot are on there. But also, it's like the hotspot console game for indies. And with the rise of indies over the last few years, Nintendo has positioned itself perfectly to reach as the maximum audience and the maximum developers and the most innovative of projects as well, like we were saying with indies. So
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo has done a fantastic job with timing, with all their marketing, with their um, research and development on the hardware side, like all of it. So it'll be very interesting now that we're getting into the point where there's a new Xbox and a new PlayStation coming. It'll be interesting to see what they come out with to combat to take on the Switch. Because
Mm-hmm.
last time they really came out with something was 2013.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make their mark
They're kind
or
of leapfrogging each other. I think
yeah.
we can all agree that the Switch was definitely the best piece of hardware in the
Mm-hmm.
2010s. I'd agree. What do you guys think? Yeah.
I think they nailed it out of the park.
Mm, yeah, I guess. PS4 is pretty cool too.
What was cool?
PS4.
Yeah, but PS4 was just normal.
Yeah, there wasn't
Honestly,
anything
I
exciting
think
about it.
of the three big names in consoles, PS4 was the least uh interesting one.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Here's the thing. Did it outsell the Xbox One as they're the true direct competitors? 100%, totally. Like no question. But I think one thing that the Xbox has over it um, is that the Xbox hardware wasn't great, and their titles certainly were nowhere near the caliber of um,
Hmm.
PlayStation. But
Yeah,
Microsoft led the charge on multi-platform
it's
and
true. It's
and
true.
sort of this subscription service to games with the Game Pass and all that, which is just skyrocketed them leagues past PlayStation to the point now where Nintendo and Steam and Epic Games and Microsoft are all having a party, over here, like handing each other games. Here, Steam, you can have a Halo. Yeah, da 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 da. And then Google came and said, "Hey guys," they're like, "Don't bring your cousin Stadia. They're a dickhead, but bring your Android and we'll put Mario on it." And they're all having a great time. And PlayStation's in the corners, just fucking sipping its gin and tonic. Fuck you guys. Buy my fucking games at the disc.
No, PlayStation's sitting over there with its high quality third person single player experiences, and they're just like, we don't need you.
But see, I love how we're getting ambiguous with like, I think Xbox came out with a statement. I'm not sure what the details of the statement were, and don't quote me exactly, but it was more or less, we don't care what you play our games on, just play games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I
they're like,
appreciate that a lot.
we'll provide you a piece of hardware, and we'll do our best to make it the coolest, best thing you can get. Where like they have the budget Xbox One S something, whatever, the one that has no disc, which is like, it's tiny, it's like the size of a speaker or whatever. You just throw it in your thing, and yeah, you can download games and play them on that, and it's a perfectly acceptable system that runs your title. It's the same specs as an Xbox One S. And then they're like, for the crazy bastards who don't want to buy a gaming PC for some outrageous reason, we'll spend just as much, and you can buy what's it called, Scarlet? Now?
Yes, I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
And of course the Xbox One, like, they just kind of went, whatever, we don't care. And now they have things like, you buy Halo on Steam. Every game you buy on Xbox, you get on Windows as well. Every game you get on Windows, you get on Xbox as well. Like, they don't give a shit, and I love that. I love it. All right, that's the kind of thing I want. Like, I want to be like, I'm gonna play single player Halo Infinite or whatever on my computer with my 4K screens and all of my PC beef juice. That's disgusting. I regret saying that. And then I'm gonna go over to the couch and play split screen on my Xbox with my friends. Like, that's
Yes.
it. We've arrived, right? We've arrived. I just can't wait for PlayStation to get on that bandwagon too, so I can play Last of Us on my PC as well.
Yes, I would love
Just
that.
download the emulator.
I want to do it legally.
All right. Well, I think that was a great discussion on the last 10 years of games. Thank you for everyone who joined in the chat. Thank you for your questions and your comments. We have a Discord server where we can continue this conversation. If you have any questions or comments as well, feel free to join in there. We do this every month, first Monday of every month, on our Twitch channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the last one of 2019, end of the decade. We will be back in 2020 for a bunch of new discussions. On that note,
We're going to do some cool things in the next decade.
that's
guys.
right. On that note, thank you very much for joining us.
We are gonna do some cool things in the next decade.
That's what I
Stay
said.
tuned. Oh, sorry.
On that note,
Right, bye.
we are going to do some really cool things in the next decade.
Wow, Matt, that's exactly what I said.
Whoa!
No, it's exactly what I said.
Oh my god.
In no particular
All right.
order.
Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Happy 10 years of the 2010s. I don't know. What'd you call them, Michael? No, you called the other one.
The naughty.
That's it.
I'm naughty. And over the holidays, when you see your little nephews and nieces and whatever's playing Fortnite, kick them in the balls. Have a good holiday, everybody. See ya.
See ya.